I'd like to give a big shout out to the HOODOO Gurus, who have given us permission to use part of their song That's My Team as our new podcast episode intro for all of their music. And whenever they are going live or performing live, head to their Facebook and their Instagram. The links will be in the description below. Be sure to give them a like and a follow as well on Facebook and Instagram. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Final Tackle podcast, and I am joined by a special guest for this interview. He's former Penrith Panthers, New South Wales and Australian second rower, Mark GEYER. Thank you for joining us here, mate.
TJ, good to be part of the program, my friend.
Thank you very much. So basically, start off with a few easy questions. You made your first grade debut for the Penrith Panthers. What was that like?
Mate, it was a dream come true. I'm a Penrith junior. I played on my junior rugby league in the Penrith district for clubs like Wayland, Warriors, North Mount Druitt, and then St Mary's. And then I got graded when I was a 17-year-old at Penrith and made my first grade debut 2 years later, which is a fantastic, and it was great to see just recently 3 Panthers being blooded last Friday night as well. So it's it was a special moment.
That sounds awesome. And what was your favourite level to play at? Was it club, state, or national?
Put them into categories, I suppose. When you get that first ever first grade jersey, when Tim Sheens told me that I was going to make my debut, it was a surreal moment. So that was kind of up top. And then I made the 1990 Kangaroo Tour and made my test debut on that tour in front of about 50 people in south of France.
Oh, wow.
That was very special. I was standing with the national anthem with a tear running down my cheek. And
oh, wow.
And then obviously Origin, where I think that's the ultimate as far as testing one's skill and strength and, level as rugby league. It's the toughest form of rugby league there is, and to play that was fantastic.
For sure, fair enough. In '94, you played for the Yamina Beach Bunnies in the Central Coast League. What was that like going back to the grassroots level, and also talking about the merging with Andrew John Sanger's Central Coast Club? Do you think it would be beneficial for the Central Coast to have a team again?
Yeah, look, I have a lot of roots in the Central Coast. All my mum's family live there, and I used to go up there every Christmas holidays for
oh, nice.
To Edlong and Yamina. It's God's country, mate. It's God's country. Now my sister and mum and dad live up there as well at Killarney Vale. So it's a beautiful part of the land. I come about because I had a year at Balmain in '93, and then I didn't want to really. I had enough of playing NRL, to be honest, and had to get away for different reasons. I went up and played U minor, and we won the comp that year. And
oh, wow, that would have been special.
Yeah, it was. It was very special. The year later, I went to Perth. So, and to answer the second part of your question,
for the merger,
I think it's kind of criminal not to have a team on the Central Coast. It's one of the biggest nurseries in the world. And
well, we've got players such as Matt Ikuvalu coming up in the ranks for the Roosters, having played for the Erina Eagles on the Central Coast.
There you go. Yeah, and I know that when in my day there was a lot of players come from that area.
Matt Orford is another Central Coast player.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a young Pappenhausen at the moment playing for the Storm who comes from Terrigal. So I think it's a matter of if, not when, they do it. I think it's going to happen, but I just don't know when.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
One Sydney team must go, but there's too many teams in Sydney.
I was going to say, do you want them to be, like Gordon Tallis said a few days ago, do you see a New South Wales club being re-established in another state, or do you see just a team being just fully disbanded sort of thing?
Well, I think within 10 years' time, these 9 teams in Sydney won't be there. One of them won't be there. Maybe 2 of them won't be there. So a bit like the North Sydney Bears and the Newtown Jets.
Yep. I was thinking the exact same.
I think you've got to try and take a little piece of something than a whole lot of nothing. And I think it's in their best interest of the club to start exploring that option of relocating to the Central Coast. And as far as expansion goes, I still think expansion's on the list, and I think that the 2 teams would come in would be Perth and another team in Brisbane.
Fair enough, and that kind of also helps me segue into the next question, which is about your time at Perth. What were your feelings and emotions playing for a state that's so far away from all the action, for lack of a better term, on the eastern coast of Australia when you were playing for the Western Reds? Yeah,
that was kind of the allure. The whole point of signing there was to get away from the fishbowl of Sydney. That was, obviously I'm not in Sydney. I was in Penrith, which was a kind of which is a satellite city. But I just had enough of, had a couple of things go against me, had a couple of bad things happen to form in my life, and I wanted to get away. And
would have been the perfect sea change then.
Yeah, it was, mate. It really was. And straight away, the outcasts, inverted commas, as I put them, players that converged upon Perth were all blokes who wanted a second chance, or playing reserve grade, or playing in the English Super League. So we come together as one, and we kind of gelled straight away. And I can never forget our first game on the Wacker against the Dragons. We beat them, and they were one of the premiership favourites that year. So my time in Perth, I remember fondly. I had 2 children while I was there, and 2 babies, but then I had a good chance to come back to Penrith for the last 3 years of my career, which I cherish.
That actually kind of sums up the next question. Was you then went on to finalise your career and finish it with the Panthers, and what was that like? So that helps answer that question. Touching on again with the players that you played with at the Western Reds, one of them was your younger brother Matt. What was it like playing with your brother in the top grade in the same team?
It was one of my highlights of my playing career, I must say. We'd settled in Perth after about 3 or 4 months, my wife and I, and
yep.
My brother gave me a call and said that he hadn't made any of the Penrith rep side. Do you think there'd be an opportunity over there with the junior Reds? And I said, yeah, no problem. So I spoke to Peter Mulholland, who was the coach at the time, and
yep.
he got Matt a trial, and Matt lived with me for a couple of months, and then he made the team. So he basically started working and living in Perth with a couple of other young blokes from that area. So 97, I think we first grade to be with each other together. So
that would have been really special.
Yeah, it was. He put a bomb up for me to kick and to catch, and I scored it against Castleford in the World Club Challenge. So,
far out.
Yeah, so that was really a special moment. But it was, I think, any brothers who play together in the top grade will tell you that something that your parents are so proud of that they'll never forget.
Yeah, for sure. This obviously wouldn't be a true Mark GEYER interview without asking you about your famous scuffle with Wally Lewis in the 91 State of Origin series, mate. First of all, what was the lead up to that, and also what was going through your mind at the time?
The lead up was I had a pretty quiet game in 91, the first game of 91.
Yep.
And I think Queensland beat us 6-4 at Lang Park, and I didn't really think I'd make the second time, but I did. And
nice.
As we converged upon, I think it was somewhere in Coogee where we met up for our medicals and our handing out of tracksuits and whatnot.
Yep.
A couple of the selectors pulled me aside and said that I was lucky to make that team, and we need more aggression from you. And I basically I said to them that I'm a bit worried about being too aggressive because I've just come off a 4-week suspension, and
fair enough.
And I'm worried about being suspended again. And they said, well, you can't be suspended in Origin. You can't get sent off in Origin. I said, so what do you mean? They go, well, go out and do what you got to do. So with the selector's blessing, I had a green light to basically run amok and create mayhem, and I did as much as I could. And right on half time, I remember that Steve Walters did a voluntary tackle in front of me just as the siren sounded. I gave him a bit of a rabbit chop to the back of the head.
Yeah.
Then it was on. People come running in from everywhere, and one of those people who came running in was Wally Lewis. And to be honest, he was screaming your name, calling your name, saying, "Guy, you're this guy, you're that."
Far out.
And I thought, fuck, Wally Lewis knows my name,
Yeah, nice. What were you shitting it when you got up close to him?
I thought, fuck, I'm a lot bigger than this bloke, and he's taking me on. I thought he might be able to fight, so I better be careful.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, to be confronted with the game's best player at the time, and in that moment with rain pouring down and a lot of things going through my mind,
it was all surreal.
It was very surreal. Yeah, very surreal. And I think the fact that we didn't throw a punch was why it's remained in folklore for so long.
Definitely.
It's the what if would have happened.
Because it's so definitely, because unfortunately I wasn't born then, but I've watched the replay of that match and that exact moment, and I'm like, swing, one of you. You could have easily had a go,
No, I think that's the common consensus.
Yeah, it shows a lot more judgment of character on both your parts that you didn't throw a punch.
Well, I think the mutual respect was there. And
exactly.
That's what I took out of that was he must have respected me, and I definitely respected him. So consequently, I went to the judiciary and I cited to 6 different occasions, and and I never played Origin again.
And touching on the 91 season, which was the first NRL premiership won by the Penrith Panthers, what was that like for you and also for the club in general?
That was the most glorious moment of my rugby league career. That was to be able to get another chance after being there the year before in 1990 against Canberra, the same team.
Yep.
Same score at half time. We're down 12-6. But this time was different. We'd had 4 players who'd gone away on the 1990 Kangaroo Tour with myself and Brandy Alexander and Johnny Cartwright and Brad Fittler.
Yep.
So we changed jerseys. We went from the Chocolate Soldiers to the Licorice All Sorts. So we kind of looked different, and we played different. So that Royce try in the corner when we scored, then Brandy kicked the goal from the sideline to put us 7 points ahead. That was the most exuberant feeling I've ever experienced in rugby league. I've had 5 children in my life, and they've been the biggest moments of my life, but that was the best sporting moment I've ever had when I realised that we won the grand final.
I can imagine people who've been there and former players that I've interviewed have said there's nothing like it.
No, it is. That's true. It's true. Honestly, it's... You work. A lot of people don't see what goes into getting there, and
it's the entire season and the entire preseason leading into it. it really is such a massive feat to be able to get there, let alone win it.
And you do it with your best mate. You're doing it with your best mate, so that's an even
makes it even more special.
Yeah, bloody oath.
So I just got 2 more questions for you before we do some try time trivia. What is your take on the modern game? Are there any rules that have been outed that you'd like to see re-implemented? I personally would love to see the unlimited tackles because it would make for a more competitive game, and the shoulder charge brought back.
Well, I made a career on the shoulder charge, and I don't think we'll ever see that back because it's a little bit dangerous these days with the athletes we've got. But look, I'm happy with the game. I'm happy with the game. Let's not forget, the game's never been more scrutinised. We've got social media now that I never was part of when I played.
Yeah, that's true.
Every refereeing decision is questioned on social media, where every player performance is questioned on social media, and every person, every critic's got a voice. So
yep, and the couch referees as well.
Yeah, it is. It's a very I think that the athlete in this game has never been better. A lot of people are blowing up about the one-on-one strip rule. I love the strip rule.
I love that rule so much.
Hold on to the ball, boys, if you don't want it stripped. It's simple as that.
Pretty much. You
know, and look, everyone bags Melbourne for doing what they do in tackles and stuff, but if Melbourne were coming 10th, would we worry about what they're doing? No,
we wouldn't. Exactly.
So I'd love to see the interchange dropped. I think at the moment we've got 8. I'd love to see it go to 6 or 4.
And only have like maybe a 5th or like an extra one for emergency injury one sort of thing.
Yeah, I think we should carry an 80th man for HIA.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
So, but apart from that, I'm pretty happy with the way the game is. Honestly, it's never been better to watch. All these games we watched last weekend with the top 4 teams at each other. 20,000 at a suburban ground, both at Canberra and in Gosford. That's what rugby league is about. To me. I sat back on Sunday watching them 2 games and go, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah, for sure. One last question before trivia time. What's your take on the 2019 season so far? And what's your predictions for the final 8? And do you have a prediction for which teams are going to be in the grand final?
Overall, look, I think the competition has been fantastic. I didn't expect the Dragons to be so bad.
Neither did I. I was expecting them to go between 7th and 11th. Yeah, at least, yeah.
I think the Dogs are going to be one of the teams that surprise next year.
I honestly, my prediction this year at the beginning was the Bulldogs were going to get the spoon or close to it, because I see what Dean Pay is doing. He's trying to blood the players, get them their games, which with any team while they're trying to do that is going to go through their hard times. So I see the Bulldogs being a force to reckon with in about 3 years. Sorry, continue, mate.
Well, I hope you're right, because I like Dean Pay and I like their roster.
Definitely.
So overall the comp's been great. I think the top 8 is pretty well settled. I think there's 4 teams fighting out 7th and 8th. That's Penrith and Brisbane and the Tigers and the Sharks. I think maybe if Penrith beat the Broncos on Friday night, I think Penrith and the Sharks might make the 8. I think at the moment it's looking very similar to what we had last year with a Melbourne Storm and Roosters grand final. And can the Roosters be the first team since 1992 and 93 to go back to back? Well, I don't see any reason why not. They're a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely, very much so, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I personally think the Raiders are going to make it to at least the prelim finals. I don't know whether they'll make the grand final, but they're going to go further than they have in quite a while this year.
They're a great team to watch, and I think it's all... I remember in the late 80s, Penrith bought 2 players from Canterbury, Peter Kelly and Chris Mortimer, who were tough, really tough bastards, and they taught us young blokes how to be tough, the local juniors in Penrith, and how to win tough. And I see the same with these English imports with Canberra, with John Bateman, and Hodgson not so much because he's been there for a while, but John Bateman's inclusion to this team with Nickel Klogstad have been 2 of the best buys in the competition this year.
Oh, for sure.
And I think you could be right. I love the brand of footy they played. They had a really good game against the Roosters on the weekend.
Oh, they had a screamer. Even in their loss, they still had a screamer of a match.
Yeah, and I think they'll take a bit away from that. And I wouldn't count out Manly at full strength.
Yeah, true.
But I think apart from the top, look, Melbourne, Roosters, South with Burgess back are going to be stronger.
Yep.
Got then the Raiders and maybe the Eagles.
Yep.
Who knows? Who knows what Penrith can produce on their day either? So
exactly.
This last month of rugby league is going to be formidable, and I can't wait for it.
Agreed. Going over to try time trivia, we got 6 quick fire questions. The last interview that I did was Jamie Soward. He got 5 from 6. So now it's your turn to try and see if you can beat him.
Well, the heat is on.
Yes.
The heat is on.
Question 1. What year did the Western Reds change their name to the Perth Red?
1997.
Yep. Who was awarded the J.J. Giltinan Shield in the 91 NRL season as minor premiers?
That was the Panthers.
Yeah, it was.
Fuck, I better know that one.
The Penrith Panthers avoided a last place ranking in 2015 by defeating which club in their final match of the season?
Newcastle.
Yep. Who was the first player to captain the Brisbane Broncos?
Oh, Wally Lewis.
Yep. Who won the first ever Clive Churchill medal issued to a member of the losing grand final team? I'll give you the options. Daly Cherry Evans, Bradley Clyde, or Brad Mackay?
That was Bradley Clyde when Royce Simmons should have got it.
Yes. Last question. The West Tigers National Rugby League team was formed by a merger between which two teams?
One of my old clubs, the Balmain Tigers,
Yep.
and the Western Suburbs Magpies.
Yes. Wonderful. So you've got all 6 from 6.
Go beat that, boys.
Thank you very much for joining us here